Hey everyone, Humphrey here with Router Guides. We are in the last week of November here in Lviv, Ukraine. Gonna take a quick stroll around the center square and then go to McDonald's. And while we travel there, let's talk about how to get to Ukraine from Krakow, Poland, or actually we'll start with getting to Krakow, Poland from Frankfurt, because that's going to be the first leg of the journey. And then we'll talk about getting from Krakow into Lviv. And you can see that things are pretty much normal except for 3 or 4 things. The first thing you'll notice, you won't notice it just yet, but you will in a couple minutes as we head to the main square. Generators, the power situation. So power is a little spotty right now. Businesses are supposed to only turn on their power at certain hours. I believe it's 8 hours on, 4 hours off. And then what happens is most of the businesses will put out generators of various types. The favorite ones right now, if you have money, seem to be Hyundai. So if you're rocking a Hyundai or Honda generator, you're pretty styling. And that happens more towards the night. And it'll be pretty interesting because you'll see the different businesses. Each business will have a generator, and as you walk down the street, it's just noisy because they're all on. The second thing that's a little different is that at major infrastructure points, and I won't tell you what those infrastructure points are, but I mean, if you have half a brain, you'll know what I'm talking about. But at major infrastructure points, there will be military, and they will be armed to the teeth, and they will scream at you if you try to videotape. And so that's another thing is this time I'm in Ukraine. I'm not rocking any press credentials or anything like that, since I'm just throwing stuff up on YouTube. Always make sure when you cross these trolley things you look, because those trolleys won't stop. They'll just run you over. But you can see people are out and about. Flags. Very, very good community spirit and morale. People are not, as far as I'm seeing, people are not complaining or anything. They are continuing on with their day. We'll do a quick stroll around this square. And for the most part, restaurants are open. McDonald's is open, which I will show you towards the end of this journey. ATM machines, exchange booths, bars. So I got this bar over here. Transportation seems to be working, buses, trains, etc. Okay, so let's talk about getting into Krakow, Poland. So Krakow is one of the main cities that people go into before heading into Ukraine because it's closer. Some people choose Warsaw, but I, along with many other people, choose Krakow. And getting to Krakow from Asia, I chose Frankfurt. Right? So Frankfurt's probably the main, one of the busiest, or maybe the busiest airport in the central part of Europe. Other than Heathrow. So flew from Singapore into Frankfurt, and incidentally enough, I got a good deal. I got for 700 Sing, going from Singapore to Frankfurt, because it's a Star Alliance that I found out later. I guess it's kind of obvious. It was interesting because I was based in Bangkok, and I was looking at Bangkok to Frankfurt, and the price was triple, and it made more sense to backtrack 2.5 hours into Singapore and pay 700. So heck yeah, why not? So flew into Frankfurt. Then I took a Flixbus, the green buses. I took a Flixbus into Krakow. And it was one of those overnight buses, 13 hours. I don't know if I ever want to do that again. Stepping off a 12, 13-hour flight and then waiting a couple hours at the airport and then rocking a 13-hour bus. It was pretty rough. But it only cost me, I think, €40. And pro tip for Flixbus, 2 pro tips. Never pick the table seat. So some of the seats have a table and you think that's really awesome. You can get out your laptop, but no, the table's really small and there's 4 seats around the table and you'll end up kicking the other person, and if you're trying to get some sleep, it's not gonna work. So yeah, don't pick the table seat. Also, tip number 2 is you can buy multiple seats. So you could buy 2 seats that are next to you, and then you don't have to sit next to anyone. So that's really good. So Flixbus, 13 hours into Krakow. It drops you off next to the mall. So it's the railway station / bus station, and you can get a meal at the mall. And then from there, you probably want to hang out a couple days in Krakow, maybe 1 or 2 days. So I chose 5 days this time because I love Krakow. Nice place to hang out. And you can use Uber and Bolt. Uber and Bolt work just fine right now in both Poland and Ukraine. In fact, I've been taking Bolt around. And so if you never used Bolt before, Bolt is like Uber, but you pay the driver in cash. So you get a fare, let's say 161 Ukrainian, and then you pay the driver. And if you want, you could add tip afterwards. So it's the same as Uber, just pay the driver in cash. So getting from Krakow to Lviv, Ukraine, this time I chose a little different route. So back when I was here in March, so this is the second time I've been here. Back in March, I took the bus to the Polish border, then I took a taxi, I walked across, then I took a minibus. So the heck with that. This time I just took a bus straight from Krakow into Lviv to cut down, walking across, get in the taxi, get in the minibus. So just stay on the same bus and go all the way through. So it ended up working out pretty good, fairly well. Got on the bus, I think it was like at 9:20 a.m. And this was the bus from the railway station, main railway station in Krakow, railway station, bus station. So 9:20 boarded the bus, and then at 12:20 hit the border. It took us 2 hours to get through both sides of the border. So you get through the Polish side, and then you get through the Ukrainian side. So 2 hours, actually not too bad. And a couple times you're let off the bus and you can use the toilet and all that stuff. And then got into Lviv at around 4:30 p.m. So 4:30 p.m. So all in all, 9:20 to about 4:30 p.m. 6-7 hours, not too bad. And then this church, you can see how they have it boarded up. They've got the steel and the windows are boarded up. Another way that people have been doing it is you take the train to the border. So take a train from Krakow to the Polish side of the border, walk across, and then take a minibus. That's similar to what I did before, where I took the bus to the border, walked across, and took a minibus. And it's kind of a wash in terms of the amount of time it takes. This is something I joked about in Libya when I went there in 2011. You know, when you're talking about a country at war and going into an active war zone, things aren't too bad if you can find two things. If McDonald's is open, that's good. Why do we say that? McDonald's has backup power supplies. They've got their own power supply. McDonald's has an incredible logistics chain. And if McDonald's is closed, that's a bad sign. That's a really bad sign. It's just like in the US, where if you have a Waffle House that's closed, that's a bad sign. And number two is, can you find Coca-Cola or Pepsi? Because if you cannot find Coca-Cola or Pepsi at either a restaurant or a convenience store, the world's gone to shit, like in that particular area. So there were times in Libya where, you know, the cities, So cars are still out and about. Now, once again, this is Lviv. So this is Western Ukraine. This is kind of like a refugee city. So all the refugees come out from the other parts of Ukraine here, and then they'll filter out into Poland and other countries. And this has been relatively safe for the majority of this war. Towards the beginning and a couple months later, I think more towards the summer, there were a couple missile attacks, but they generally do not hit the center of Ukraine like where I am. They will hit air bases and power stations around. So generally say that's why you see people out and about. City Buffet. It's another landmark that I use. We'll be coming up to a tunnel to get to the other side to get to the McDonald's. So this tunnel I used the other day during an air raid siren. I was actually eating in McDonald's. Air raid siren came on, and we all bailed out of there. And
Увага! Повітряна тривога. Будь ласка, залиште заклад та прямуйте до найближчого укриття. Заклад зачиняється. Зберігайте спокій, бережіть себе та один одного. Увага! Повітряна тривога. Будь ласка, залиште заклад.
Went into this tunnel, hung out for about 10 minutes until the all clear. Got a little cozy in this tunnel. I was tempted to film it, but I don't know, just didn't feel right to film people huddled in a tunnel. And down towards that way is a pretty decent supermarket. So the supermarkets are open. There's a lot of Apple type stores here. Tons and tons of Apple stores. Domino's Pizza. And we're here at McDonald's. Someone's walking in. It appears to be open. All right, folks, Humphrey with Router Guides. Next video is going to be from Kyiv.